Australian endurance racing enters a bold new era with the inaugural staging of the Phillip Island 8 Hour, an event that's attracted a solid grid of teams, doing battle at the world's most picturesque Grand Prix circuit. The introduction of the 8 Hour format is based on similar endurance events held in Europe and Japan, such as the famous Suzuka 8 Hour. The Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit is investing heavily to build this race into a gargantuan, attracting national and international entries, with the long-term aim being to host a round of the World Endurance Championship. With a minimum of 3 riders per team and a Le Mans-style start, the marathon 480-minute event is expected to cover an estimated 285 laps and 1,250 kilometres of energy-sapping racing. And the action's not just limited to being the first bike to the checkered flag. The fight for outright class victory features 5 categories in Superbike, Superstock 1000, Supersport, Superstock 600cc, and a BEARS class for British, European and American manufactured machines, predominantly featuring the potent Triumph 675 triple cylinder. Welcome to a celebration of skill and precision. On speed, this is the inaugural Phillip Island 8 Hour, proudly presented by Insure My Ride.
Hello, tremendous to have your company on speed right around Australia, and a very warm welcome in fairly chilly and windy conditions to arguably the best Grand Prix motorcycle circuit in the world right here at Phillip Island. Welcome to our exclusive coverage of the 8 Hour, an intriguing battle coming your way exclusively on the Speed Channel. With me is the Motorsport Activities Manager here at Phillip Island, David Catchpole. A tremendous event in concept, and going forward, I know you hold fairly high hopes for it.
Yeah, that's right, David. We intend to build this event over the coming years. We want to get it up to the heydays of back at Oran Park in the Castrol 6 Hour. We're in this for the long haul. Phillip Island's committed to running this circuit for the foreseeable future, and we want to get the competitor base back here and build this event into a truly endurance event and potentially on the world stage.
In some ways, strategically, a bit of merit in trying to align it with the world-famous Suzuka 8 Hour, and there's no reason to believe going forward a lot of international teams won't take part.
Yeah, that's correct. At this early stage, as I said, we toyed with the idea of getting some FIM World Endurance teams here. We had interest from 3, but given the rules we're running this year, that sort of ruled them out. But going forward, yeah, we will be looking at running an invitational style class.
Well done. Enjoy the day if you can.
Thanks, Tabby. Have a great day, everyone.
There he is, David Catchpole. 4 types of motorcycles involved in this 8 Hour epic tussle at the island. For more on that, let's say a very good morning to our pit reporter, and he's the best in the business, Mark Bracks, who's with the Suzuki team.
Well, here we are in the Team Suzuki Superbike pit garage with the team manager and owner, Phil Tayton. And we've got a Suzuki GSX R1000 Superbike right in front of us, probably one of the most potent machines in Australia, putting out around 210 horsepower. Phil, let's just go for a quick walk around the bike and see what makes this different to a normal road bike. Where do we start? Say at the front end.
Sure, Mark. Yeah, the front end basically is a standard GSX R1000 front end, but we're allowed to put internals are allowed. So the suspension internals on the front forks are Öhlins. They're the latest technology in 30mm Öhlins fork cartridges. So that takes care of that. Our brakes are all standard apart from our master cylinder. We use Brembo master cylinder. All the bottom part of the brakes are all standard.
What about the tyres?
Tyres are, we use a Dunlop tyre, Dunlop Slick, and these are the UK Slick we're using at the moment. They're very good, exceptionally good, and they're going to have extreme wear, or not extreme wear, they're going to last exceptionally well.
Well, you hope so anyway, you don't want extreme wear. Moving to this part, where it all comes from, the power plant.
Yeah, look, the engine is basically, once again, it starts its day as a street bike GSX R1000. We put camshafts in it and do some head modifications to it, increase the compression, up the rev limit. We're pulling them up at 14,200 revs and use a Yoshimura ECU and engine management system to control it.
Well, the power comes from there. Get into here. Tell us about the rear end, being able to handle the power, that's 210 horsepower coming out of the engine.
Yeah, look, once again, we're thankful we're on the good tyres of Dunlop tyres, and that's what you need to handle that sort of horsepower. It's driven through Öhlins rear shock, of course, to handle the bumps and undulations of the track. And once again, that engine power wouldn't be able to be so easily ridden without the control of the Yoshimura ECU, which is fully programmable, mappable, and we try and make it easier on the throttle when they wind it on. It's got a lot of functions that control the bike as the whole engine management program.
Well, speaking of the ECU and engine management, I noticed this weekend there's no telemetry, as we normally said. It looks like a normal road bike dash.
Well, precisely, Mark. That's exactly what it is. We normally run full Motec data logging on the bikes, but in an endurance race, we've found in the past that with all the sensors that we run, which is wheel speed sensors and suspension sensors, it becomes difficult putting stands under them fast. If you need to do repairs on the bike. So we've done a lot of testing down here. We've got all our data, but that's a standard road bike dash. This here is actually the dash that we normally run, which is the Motec dash, and that is a computer in itself that has a huge amount of memory in it, and that linked with all the sensors gives us our feedback to get the bike set up, which we've already done weeks leading into this race.
Thanks, Phil. Well, Phil does all the hard work in the pits. They even get the bike ready. It's up to the riders to do the work. Back to the track.
G'day, mate. You're watching the Phillip Island 8 Hour on Speed. Woo!
And it's great to have your company for our exclusive coverage of the 8 Hour from Phillip Island. Conditions are blustery and cool. I'm joined by Kevin Magee. That was an excellent insight to the Suzuki. Kev, it's a bike you know a lot about.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best superbikes in the country, and Phil and the crew do a great job.
Indeed. We'll take a walk down pit lane now. In a moment, we'll bring you up to date with how they're going to start on the grid and the riders that will start this race. All teams required to enter a minimum 3 starters. And in fact, in many cases, there are 4 or 5 riders. One of the teams there's immense amount of interest in this weekend is the team fielded by AFL legend Jason Akermanis, who we will catch up with on the show today.
Yeah, Jason, quite a character on the football field, but loved his bikes for years and loves his riding, and great to see him have his pretty much his first race meeting.
He's fielding a Honda CBR Superstock 600 with 5 riders in total. You never know what's going to happen with weather down here. The forecast is for fine later in the day. Here's overall qualifying, and please note these are the riders, left-hand side of the screen, that will start the 8-hour race. Josh Waters put the Suzuki on pole, 1:33.164, starring Goldsmith. Then Waters, Scott, Skopek, Gibson, Looms, Simpson and Callahan. You can see a good spread of manufacturers there from Suzuki, Kawasaki, Yamaha. And at the top of today's program, I alluded to the BEARS class. A number of examples on that page you're now looking at, not least of which is the Triumph Daytona 675. In fact, there are several of those in the race today. Meanwhile, Golster leads the charge on bike 66 from Posse number 11. And Josh Waters and the Suzuki team, well, frankly, not surprisingly, dominated qualifying, and they clearly have emerged as the team to beat here this weekend, and all their riders are in form too. Speaking of that, Mark Bracks caught up with the Suzuki team.
Well, after the 20-minute Super Q session here for the Australian Endurance Championship at the Phillip Island 8 Hour, we have our pole position winner with the Team Suzuki, led by Josh Waters, who did a 1:33.1. Josh, an amazing effort in such a short time.
Yeah, it was. We've been really lucky. We've had a lot of time on the track, so short session was actually pretty good to go out there, and you had your head down. So huge thank you to the team, and thanks to my 2 teammates for the help throughout the weekend of getting the bike to where it is.
You did a 33.4 to start with. Weren't happy with that?
I thought I'd go back out. That was actually on a second-hand tyre, so we had a plan of what to do. So I should have gone a little bit quicker, maybe.
Josh Waters, fantastic ride-up. Start is imminent here at the island. We thought what we'd do to commence our telecast today is take you on a lap of this fabulous circuit. On this occasion, Marcus Simpson aboard the Yamaha R1 1000. Kevin.
Yeah, that's out the pit lane exit. You can see there it's beside the main track, the end of the main straight on the rider screen there, and then you just peel in there on near the apex of that doing corner, turn 1. Normally the guys are going past there in 4th gear, so I'll get you away from the oncoming traffic at around 300 k's at the end of the Phillip Island straight. Then it's the double left-hander, tricky one this, in Southern Loop. The double apex, you float out, then you come back in closer to the second apex to head down the short straight there before one of the fastest corners in Australian motorcycle racing through the kink. You drop off a bit of a ledge there. It's about 5th gear through here, and pretty hard on the gas up to Honda hairpin, and then really hard on the brakes, very much a stop corner, back down to 2nd gear, about 80 kilometres an hour. And many ways to get around that one, but you just got to be patient. It's a real easy place to make a mistake and end up over the bars. Keep going to the right a little bit, and then hard on the brakes again into Siberia. And this one's where the exit is really important. Uphill exit over the crest there, and then through the left-hand kink here. Then through the S's towards the hay shed, the real fast right-hander, 4th gear, pretty much pinned through there. then flick it back to the left to head up Lukey Heights, and you just sort of run a decreasing radius in towards the curb at the top at the crest, and on the gas the whole time to carry it over the hill, and then fairly steep downhill, under brakes, back into first gear for there, short shift thing into second and third for turn 11, and the run through there is so important for your speed onto the straight and down the end of the straight into turn 12. Sensational corner. This comes back around on itself a little bit, so you end up turning a bit longer, blind before that crest there, out onto Gardner Straight, and you head down there, and that's it. That's what they've got to do around 280 times today.
Well done, mate. Well done. I remember on television back in the 80s, as we look at some track facts, circuit lengths, 4.445 kilometres, 12 turns, as Kevin has just aptly described. Phillip Island, it was inaugurated back in 1928, but of course underwent a major rebuild in the 80s. Conditions here are cloudy but dry at the moment. Race expected to take obviously 480 minutes over the 8-hour distance, and we're set for a start. Le Mans style start, and Waters is the man to look for. Left-hand side of screen, that's his bike closest to camera, number 1. And it's operating off a light system. There's the red lights now. When they go out, we are underway. The start of the Phillip Island 8-hour. Exclusive coverage on speed. There's Waters closest to camera. On board the Suzuki. Fires up and away he goes. Let's keep our eyes on the back of the field. You can see there the 68 machine. The Insure My Ride entry, in fact, ironically, has failed to get away initially, but it is Josh Waters that will lead this race during its early stages through turn 1.
You got away from pole position quite quickly, smoothly. Most importantly, the run across the track, not exactly the ideal running gear, the sets of leathers and racing boots, etc. But around Southern Loop now, on board with Marcus Simpson on the R1 and headed out there. Got to sort themselves out in this opening lap. There's a lot of time to go yet.
Gee, that's great vision, isn't it? Simpson, he's a long way back in the pack. I reckon we're in for a heck of a ride here. We'll stay with this shot for a while. He is working in heavy traffic. You've missed nothing up front.
One rider off there at Honda Hairpin, so, you know, waste of time already and only half a lap into 8 hours.
He's got plenty of time to make up for it, though.
Well, that's the good thing. You can make it up a bit, but, you know, you don't want to do it. It'd be easier not to have to make it up.
So we're still on board here. Well back in the pack, but fabulous onboard pictures nonetheless. Waters up front on the Suzuki has careered away from his rivals during the early stages of this race. You can see the skyline here. The weather is frankly ordinary, and in fact now spots of rain being reported down towards the ocean end, if I can use that expression, of the circuit.
Yeah, down, that's a fast section of the circuit, so in this case Josh Waters would be the pioneer. He'll be the first one to come across that if there is any dampness on the track, so he's got to be careful, you know. It's nice to get out and try and belt out a bit of a lead early on in the race, but to risk everything this early on would be pretty silly, really.
We just saw Glenn Scott poking his nose up on the inside of Marcus Simpson, so for the first time today we're wide open on the main straight. Let's see what Simpson has got for his rivals as he charges down Gardner Straight. And he was able to get by a couple of them. Now we focus our attention up front. You can see already the gap that Josh Waters has got. The race leader aboard the Suzuki GSXR 1000 Superbike.
He's definitely got the pace. He's got the clarity too. He's done plenty of hot laps around here, both in Superbike races and qualifying. That was a result of his pole position and really having to go there, dipping the leg out into Siberia. Josh Waters, and, you know, spoiling the party for the opposition so far, but as I said, a hell of a long way to go in this 8 hour yet.
Josh, a former Australian Superbike champion, and now we pick up vision of bike number 18, currently in second position. Starring is the rider that started the race, and this is a team that's got a very good package, and you'd expect them to be competitive right throughout the course of the 8 hours.
I think they definitely will be, but Ben didn't get away to a very smooth start. He lost a fair bit of ground right off the line and let Waters get away, but as we say, plenty of time to hunt the others down.